most of the systems we have in the world today, most of the technologies, everything is centralized. For instance, this is you and this is your bank. The same bank serves this person and this person and this person. So what if a bank gets robbed? How do you recover your money? Everybody's money gets lost. But then forget it. What if a bank gets hacked? Everybody's money gets lost. So what if a bank enters into trouble, some financial trouble, like what happened in 2008? It was a financial trouble that happened to banks in 2008 that caused Satoshi Nakamoto to come up with this idea. You understand? So the banks were in trouble and many people were committing suicide because they were losing a lot of money, and Satoshi had to come up with it. I think what really happened that time was that the bank took people's money and invested in real estate, and the price of the real estate in the US fell so low that the bank literally lost all the money they invested. So they didn't have money enough to pay people back. So literally, you have money in the bank, but if you go to the bank to withdraw, you won't be able to withdraw because the bank doesn't have money to give you. So people ran into all sorts of financial problems. So that was why they came up with this distributed system, all right? So if you look at a decentralized system, this is what a blockchain looks like. And as you can see, these are nodes in the system. Look at this as a computer, and each of these computers contain 100% of the code for the blockchain. So they just contain copies of the blockchain software, and they contain the full database of all transactions that has ever happened. So if somebody were to hack this particular node, all these other ones haven't been hacked. So it doesn't make sense for anybody to try and hack all the thousands or millions of computers on this network, because to bring down the network you have to hack everything. So it doesn't make sense to hack it. So with this way, they were able to overcome the problem of the traditional banking system. All right, I put links so that you can read up more on how these things happen. Now, what is a distributed processing? What is distributed processing? A node, or basically a computer performing a transaction on a network, has to broadcast the transaction to all nodes in the network. So let's go back. Let's say that this is Dave and this is Trump, and Dave wants to send some money to Trump. Now Dave sends the information to this node. This node takes a copy of this transaction and broadcasts it to all these nodes. So each of these nodes would have a copy of this transaction. Now what does the nodes have to do? So each of these computers will have to perform a small math problem. They have to do some calculations to check whether the transaction is valid. Basically, the calculation they're checking is to check the chronological order of the transaction to make sure that it's valid. If each transaction in a blockchain is immutable. You know what is immutable? For instance, if Dave sends $5 to Emily and sends $5 to Joan, Dave cannot come back and edit this particular transaction. He can't come and change this to $15 or change the time to 5:12 p.m. Once this transaction is created, it can no longer be edited. You understand? So this node broadcasts a copy of each of these transactions to all nodes. So each of the nodes will have to go back and cross-check that this node actually, the tree it contains is the same tree of all the transactions. Once the block of transaction is verified, the transaction will go through. Now, each node in the network has to solve a math problem to verify that the transaction is valid. Once verified, the node has to vote yes, at least 51% of the nodes on the network has to vote yes for the transaction to go through. Nodes that verify these transactions are called miners. So let's see a practical example. So this node 1 gets a copy of the transaction. He broadcasts it to node 2 and node 5 and node 4 and node 3. So each of these nodes have to do a calculation to verify that the transaction is correct. So what happens is that the first node to actually validate this transaction gets a coin. So the first computer that verifies this gets paid. That is called mining. So when someone tells you that they are mining cryptocurrency, it means that they have a physical computer in their house that tracks transactions and verifies them, and they make money when they are the first to verify. If this is the first to verify, this guy gets paid, then all of these guys just have to submit a copy of their verification or their approval. And if 51% of the nodes on this network verify this transaction, it goes through. So in real life, in cryptocurrencies, if Dave sends money to Trump, it will take up to 10 to 15 minutes for it to go through. But with recent advancements in technology, it takes about 3 to 5 minutes in some blockchains for the transaction to go through. But the thing that happens within that 3 to 5 minutes is that all the nodes in the world try to vote to make sure that it is correct. Once it's above 51% of the nodes, the transaction will be authorized by the blockchain software and it will go through. So a blockchain must always have coins inbuilt because of the human factor needing incentives to work. So if there is no coin, if this guy wouldn't get paid for being the first, these are humans that owns this computer. Nobody wants to spend $3,000 to $5,000 buying a computer that will verify a transaction and not get nothing from it. So the reason there is a coin or cryptocurrency on top of every blockchain is so that the blockchain can pay people doing the verification of the mining. So at this point, I want to stop this video and we will quickly move over to the next videos where we would see what mining is. And we'll also see the white paper by Satoshi Nakamoto in 2008. And we'll take a quick glance at the white paper, and I'll put a link to that white paper so you can go ahead later on to read it up. All right, it's just about 8 to 13 pages, and reading it will change your life. See you in the next video where we'll continue with this in-depth explanation of blockchains and cryptocurrencies.